And the last one. Okay. Let's see what we got, my friends. And we're going to go to, hey, Kevin, Philip, que paso? Let's see if I can't. Yeah, we're going to do some question and answers today. If I can. All right. All right. Stump Rider Theo, Denise, Kevin, what's going on? California, Arizona, Texas in the house. Right on, right on. Wisconsin in the house. All right. All right. So I got my questions. All right, good. So we got some questions and answers we're going to go over today. Appreciate y'all being here on a Sunday. I'm just kind of doing this. I wish I could say I had a schedule to me. We got 4 kids, 2 dogs. A beautiful has got to be maintained. Got to maintain my beautiful. It comes and goes as it pleases. Next Saturday, Dustin Tibbetts, yes, from Jazz Wealth will be joining me live next Saturday. So we'll probably do that at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Old Dustin, we were supposed to do last night. I just didn't feel that good. I was like, nah, kind of just cruddy. I still have a little bit of nah. I don't feel bad. I'm just like, nah. I don't feel like working out. Just kind of like one of those, you know how it is. In the wintertime, just get a little bit of blah. Throat hurts a little bit. Obviously, I only have 2 days to live. But anyway, so at the Dustin will be joining me live. Now he will be in Florida, and I will be up here in Georgia. So join us. That'd be a good time, man. I think it'll be fun. So Dustin was a huge influence on me when I started my YouTube channel. Just a great guy. I call him 4-Finger Dustin. He only has 4 fingers on his right hand. He just said he was born like that. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, so Dustin will be joining me. Oh, as we're going to say. So when it came to my YouTube channel, there's a guy named Miles Beckler out of, I think he's out of Arizona. Yeah. And then Dustin Tibbetts. Now, I don't know Miles. He doesn't know me, but he was a guy who just gave me the kick in the pants to get it going. And he just said, do a video, and get the muscle built. And I said, all right, I'm doing it. He goes, just everything else is secondary. Just do the video. And then, long story short, I looked on. I was looking up for borrow against your 401k, and everybody, of course, like, don't ever do that. You're idiotic. I said, this doesn't make sense, man. I said, because I was writing my book on that. I said, yeah, I got a chapter in this book right here about borrowing against your 401k. I said, this is stupid. And every single freaking swinging Delta out there was saying, it's horrible. And then Dustin came along and said, here are some examples what's okay. I said, man, it's the only guy saying it. I said, there's a niche in here. No one else is saying this. They're all saying the common stuff, man. It's crazy. All right, so let's dive into this here. So we got all right. So here we got a question from how long ago? This is from Brian. Retired military. When I reach my full retirement age and start my Social Security, will my military retirement count towards figuring my provisional income for Social Security taxation? Oh, yeah. So yes, it will, Brian. Hey, Chicago, Florida. If any income you have will count towards your provisional income. The only incomes that won't happen, because it's not even really considered income, would be Roth IRA distributions. Potentially if you borrow against your life insurance, which I'm just not a big proponent of. And then if you have like money in a cash account, that because you're getting your cost basis back. So anytime you have a cost basis, a return of principal, this is why having cash on the side is so huge, my friends, because I tell you, if you had $1 million just sitting in a cash account, all right, and you're living off $100,000 a year and you got no other income, let's just say 50,000. Well, hell, we can say 100,000 is coming from that cash account, and you got 50,000 from Social Security. So you're spending $150,000 a year. None of it's taxed. None of it is taxed. None of it is taxed because it's a return of principal. Your cash. Yeah, me too, Dan. Remember they say cash is trash. I says throw some of that trash this way. I'll be happy to relieve you of your trash. Anyway, so what happens here is if you got $1 million in an account, and you're living off 150,000 a year, 50 from Social Security, 100,000 from checking, you're not paying any tax. It's crazy. All right, so that's the answer to that. But your military income absolutely helps with Social Security. What's going to happen when you got a pension? You're paying tax on your Social Security. There's no other way around that. So if you have a pension, military, otherwise federal government, that will make your Social Security subject to taxation. No two ways around that. All right. So we got, here's my man, Dougie Fresh. Dougie Fresh says, okay, my son-in-law is contributing a small amount monthly for each of his 3 kids into different company stocks. I never did anything like that, figuring our children and thus our grandchildren would get whatever's left to them through our will. I was wondering what the pros and cons are for the different paths. One thing I came up with is possibility we won't have anything left when our days are over. What do you think? All right. So I think he's asking his kids are contributing a small amount monthly for each of their kids. So for his grandkids. So it's basically, okay, I get that. I never did anything to figure our children and grandkids will get anything left through our will. Okay. I'm wondering what the pros and cons are for the different paths. Okay. So basically what he's saying, he's basically saying, should I just contribute money while my kids are alive? And I'm assuming he's putting it in their names, or should I just allow them to receive it at my death? There's a lot that's going in that. All right. So first and foremost, the benefit of waiting for them to get it through your will, and don't do that. Just put a TOD on there, a transfer on death arrangement, beneficiary designation for a taxable account. Basically, the benefit of doing that is a step-up basis. And Sniffy Joe, even though his proposal, they're not getting rid of the step-up basis. I will be absolutely floored if Sniffy Joe gets rid of the step-up basis. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Anyway, so the benefit of that is your kids and grandkids inherit the money without having to pay tax on, because what's called step-up basis. The biggest drawback, frankly, is that they don't get it until you're dead. And I tell you, man, I got a big problem with people who say I'm not. I mean, I don't want Doug. I'm not saying taking him and being mad at him here. I'm saying I think a lot of people make the mistake of waiting until they're dead before they transfer money to their heirs. From a estate planning perspective, that's a huge waste. And again, right now we don't have an estate tax issue for the vast majority of us. But I mean, the facts are when you I'm 50, all right. So let's just, for simplicity, I took $50,000 and I gave $12,500 to each of my children. All right, if that $50,000, if I did not give it to each of my children, and that $50,000 got 7.2% rate of return, over 30 years, that $50,000 would grow to 100, 200, and then $40,000. All right, so by the time I was 80, that $50,000 would be worth 100, 200, $400,000, and that would be subject part of my estate for estate tax perspective. Now, if my kids inherited that, all right, they wouldn't pay any tax on that, any capital gain tax, but they certainly, that $400,000 is part of my taxable estate. Now, I might have enough of an exemption not to pay tax, but as we say here today, what happens with making a gift while you're alive is, not only do you get the benefit of seeing how your kids or whoever the recipient of the gift responds to receiving that money. Are they going to sniff it up their nose? Are they going to shoot it in their vein? Are they going to give it to some freaking zombie? What are they going to do? But on top of that, the other part of this is that it gets it out of your estate, so there's no growth. So the growth is out of your estate. The asset is out of your estate, but so isn't the growth. That's a huge thing with estate planning. A lot of people overlook that. So a couple of things with gifting while you're alive is you get to see how they, I mean, A, you get to see them enjoy it. B, they need it now. I mean, I hate to say it, your grandkids might not, but your children need it. I mean, my goodness, man, when my wife's mom died, let's see, I was 35, she was 31. We had 2 kids. We weren't making scrap for money. Living wills are just right to die clauses, Marty. So Marty says living wills for my children. A living will is not. I don't think it's what you think it is. It's just you're literally saying when to pull the plug. But anyway, so what happens is that when her mom died, we need that money something wicked. You know what I'm saying? Because we had no money coming in, and she has 8 brothers and sisters. None of that crew have any money. So we all needed the assets. There wasn't much. I think we all got, freaking 15,000 each. But let me tell you, $15,000 went a long way, if that makes sense. So don't be hesitant to give money as long as you think it won't be sniffed up the nose and shot up the veins or something like that. Don't be hesitant to gift while you're alive. I'm telling you, man. One time my grandpa gave me like $1,000, and I'll never forget. He had written a note like, "Don't tell Grammy," because she always thinks we're going bankrupt. And it was sad because when they died, my Grammy and my Grampy died on Thanksgiving Day, 2009 or 2008, and Grammy died 2012, I believe. They weren't going bankrupt. Far from it. But yeah, she had this feeling that they were going to go bankrupt, so she didn't want any of the wealth to be shared. And look, it's her money. I don't care. But I'll tell you, that $1,000 that my grandpa had given me came in handy. Let me tell you right now. Who was it? My uncle John, who's a deacon in the Newark Catholic diocese, and he became quite wealthy when one of the company he worked for on Wall Street went public. He worked for an insurance company, which I won't say. And he became quite wealthy. And I had like $15,000 of student loans, and he paid them all off. And that was in 1998. And we had just moved to Phoenix. I had just given up alcohol. I'll never forget this. So I still we're sitting at a wedding reception. I think my cousin was getting married, and we're up in Walnut Creek, California. And I love these guys. My cousin Pete, freaking he and his wife. I just love them to death. They're all my cousins are fantastic. Love them all. But anyway, I'll never forget. We're sitting around, and it was like the first kind of time I was at a party, like not drinking, and it was weird. I wasn't like I need a drink, but it's just I wasn't I was still not quite there emotionally. Long story short, he came up to, and I wasn't gonna punch him. I was just like, it's kind of on edge. I don't know how else to put it. Like I fell out of sorts. My uncle John came up to me and said, "Hey, I just want you to know that how much student loans you have?" And I said, "I don't know, like $15,000 between Charlotte and me." And back then, that's a lot of money. That was in the late '90s. He goes, "And don't forget the GI Bill." He goes, "Oh yeah, hey, well, send me your bill and I'll pay it for you." And I remember I was like, "What?" He said, "Send me your bill and I'll pay it for you." And I'd start bawling, dude. And I just had to walk away because that never happened to me. I'd never had anything like that. And it was kind of like one of those things like, it was crazy. I'll never forget that. I needed that money then, hell of a lot more than I need now, if that makes sense. So if you're a gifting person, don't wait till you're dead. I don't think that's what you're supposed to do. I think what you're supposed to do is the parable of the talents. Invest. God has given you something, man. Use that to build talents. And, when I love the parable of the talents, because talents is essentially money, but I think it's actually talent. Build the talents of those underneath you that could use that little helping hand. The drawback here with Dougie's grandkids is obviously they're bottom, obviously, but most likely they're minors, so they can't own accounts. All right, so there's a custodial account, and that means somebody else is in charge. There are things like the kiddie tax and stuff like that. Hard to imagine that being an issue. But at the end of the day, when they turn 18, a custodial account becomes the sole ownership of who was the minor. Now they're the age of majority, and they literally, it's their money. They can do whatever they want with it, and that means you have no say in the matter whatsoever. So that would be the drawback, frankly, about a child receiving the money. That's tough. There's really no right or wrong answer how to do this, but if your children, what I would suggest, I would say, look, man, at the end of the day, what you could do is you could invest it in your name. All right. Let's say they're 15 years old. You invest it in GameStop, 100 shares of GameStop. I'm just joking. Don't do that. Just joking. You invest 100 shares of GameStop. You wait till they're 25. Then you gift them the asset, knowing full well that when the kid gets the asset as a gift, that kid is inheriting the cost basis. All right. So, 100 shares of GameStop, you invested at $5 and now it's at $300. All right. So you have a $295 unrealized gain. You gift the asset to him. The kid gets this $300 stock, of which 5 is a cost basis. He sells it. The kid then pays the capital gain tax on the $295, which is actually probably preferable to you paying it anyway, because most likely you have other income where the kid doesn't. A lot going on there. Don't be afraid to give while you're alive. I tell you, man, don't wait for your estate. I don't think that's worth it. All right, so let's keep going. Let's see. We got who's my man here? This is from Heath. All right. Big fan. All right. Let's see. I've been watching a lot of different retirement planning channels, and I was hoping to pick your brain. Pick away. I just watched your live event, and you said that for single people, Roth conversions may not be advantageous. I'm a government employee, currently 43 years old, and plan to work for another 15 to 20 years. All right. I was planning on doing a Roth conversion for my traditional TSP closer to retirement, since the TSP match of 5% automatically goes into traditional. Given what you said, I want to know if I should start contributing to the Roth TSP from scratch and keep the traditional TSP. Should I just keep contributing to the traditional and no Roth, or should I roll over the traditional account to an outside IRA and then convert Roth? All right, making my head spin there. All right, so I don't know what his income streams are here, but let's just say he's making $80,000 a year working for the federal government. He's only 43 years old. I'd absolutely be contributing to the TSP Roth side of it. The match, what the government puts in, will always go in the pre-tax money. I just bite the bullet and put your money in the post-tax. I wouldn't do any conversions necessarily. Conversion is just going to add to the tax, man. So just take your contributions, Heath, and just who's Heath Schuler? Remember old Heath Schuler? Take your contributions and put them in the Roth TSP. That's what I would do, and just let the government match goes to the traditional, the pre-tax, and just leave what you already have in the pre-tax and be done with it. That's what I would do there. Let's see. All right. So here's my man Miller. All right. So he says, okay, that's an article I need to read. The federal government is experimenting with a digital dollar. Okay, that's not really a question, so I must have put that in the wrong place. All right. So we can that doesn't surprise me at all. The government is going to have digital currency. I mean, that's coming, man. Anyone who's not prepared for that. Yeah, I did a video on this a couple months ago. What they're going to do is they're going to penalize you at some point for keeping cash. You can see that a mile away, man. That's what they're going to do. They're going to say, hey, you're going to keep $100,000 in a cash account. If you don't spend it or move it within 90 days, it'll be worth $95,000. I mean, this can be Argentina on steroids for sure. So it's coming. No other way around that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Brandon. All right, I switched my 401k from a mixed balance fund to a stable fund, and he did this in September of this past year, September. That was when the market tanked in March. Oh, dude. So in March, he moved from a mixed balance fund to a stable value. I hope he's not asking, should you get back in? I took a big hit. My stable value fund is at a little over a certain amount of money. I'm trying to decide if it's best to stay or switch it back now. I'm 59 and contributing close to the max per year. My house is paid off and no debts. My company he's got a pension, which maxes out when he hits 62. I like my job and currently plan to retire in 5 more years. I made a mistake in hindsight on my 401k. I enjoy, okay. I'm a former Army guy. Okay. Man, There's no way I can answer that. I mean, because you got out when you shouldn't have got out. And now you're going to get back in, and the market's going to tank again. I mean, the market's going to tank again at some point. It's inevitable. I don't know when, where, or how, but dude, you got out when you shouldn't have got out. And now you want to know if you, now look, I hate to sound like an ass here, but I mean, so now you get back in, the market tanks again. What are you going to do? You're going to be like, oh, that Josh, I would never advise you to get back in. No way, no how, man. Because the minute I would have said, yeah, you get back in, the market tanks, like, oh, that guy, I should never listen to him. The fact that you couldn't hang in there in this, the quickest down market we've ever seen in history, the fact you couldn't hang in there and you got out in March, you allowed it to go all the way down. And then you got out with a freaking mixed balance fund. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. You got to do these. Everyone sits there and says, oh, I can handle it until it happens. Because they can say, oh, well, in 2008, the market was down 54%. I can handle that. You did not know on March 9th of 2009, the market bottomed out. You did not know that. I'm sorry, you did not. Now, in hindsight, we did. But during that day, I've told you guys a million times this Sunday, I remember driving home. I was on Days of Vala and on getting off 10, getting some gas on Days of Vala because I come back from San Antonio. I come back from work at USAA. It was on probably March 8th. But I'll never flipping forget it. Hugh Hewitt was interviewing the First Trust guy, Brian Westbury. And Westbury says, I think this is the beginning of the, I think that we're at bottoming now, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say we're bottoming. He just said, I think we're probably going to start seeing some growth now. And Hugh Hewitt said, what? Why? And Westbury says, because they just got rid, they're having Barney Frank has called a meeting to discuss mark-to-market accounting. I will never forget that. And I said, I don't know what the hell that is. I don't think that's that big of a deal. No way. Obama's socialist, blah, 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 blah. We're all going to die under a freaking socialist inflation, stagflation, the whole thing. I literally remember thinking that. But I remember hearing Brian Westbury say like that. And what happened? Even I threw in some money into bonds because I didn't have any money. I had no money. And I said, the money I have, I can't watch it go down. I got to protect what I got because I had no money at that point. Dude, you got freaking, I mean, he's got not quite let's just put about $500,000. He's got a pension. He got no debt. If you can't hang in there doing that, you have no business being in the stock market. None. I don't get it, but it's okay. Why are you in the market to begin with? You got to answer these questions. Why are you in it? Because the cool kids are in it? Because I want to make money? What are we trying to solve? You already have your house paid off, dude. You're going to have a pension. You're going to have Social Security. Do you need to be in the market? So the two things here, you have no debt, you're going to have Social Security, and you have a pension. What purpose does the market serve? What purpose? Most likely it's not going to help you with bills because your bills, I'm sure, are already paid. All right, so nothing there. Now, the other part of that is you should be in the market because you have so much guaranteed income. So it's okay to take a more risk approach. But the only reason you're taking that risk, the more risky approach, is to get growth. Why you want to get growth? I don't really know, Josh. Well, why? It doesn't make sense. Why take the risk? And you only had a mixed portfolio anyway. If you can handle a freaking 20% decline in a mixed portfolio, why would you get back in? Crazy. Oh, so frustrating. I've been in this business a long time. I hear this a million times a Sunday. I got out. Should I get back in? No, you should not. I mean, I'll tell you right now, no way. Because the market's going to fall again. The only reason you're asking that is because the market came back up. And this isn't just for this guy, whatever his name, I can't remember. This is for anybody. The only reason you're asking that is because you felt like you made a mistake and you're like, damn, I made a mistake. I need someone to tell me it's okay to get back in. I'm not the guy to do that. Hell's no. No way, man. I'm the guy to say, if you got out then, you should not get back in. No way. And if you got out when you have a pension, Social Security, no debt, you're going to work for 5 more years, and you're only in a mixed balanced portfolio, no, you should not get back in. No way. No flipping way. Not at all. Because I've had this conversation 1,000 times to Sunday, people. 1,000 times. Hey, I did this. Should I get back in? It's always like that. It's always like that. I got out in March 2009. Should I get back in? Like, dude, it's freaking 15 years later. You're still out? All right. My man, Walter. All right. Walter Payton says, ouch, just cut myself. Are Roth conversions for the retired with pensions and 401ks a good practice? All right. So my man, Walter is retired with pensions and 401ks. Are Roth conversions a good practice? Yes. Are they a good practice for him? And I got no idea. If you're married, sure, absolutely. If you're not married, probably not, man. Probably not. But I don't know. What are we trying to accomplish? So are they a good practice? The answer, of course, is yes. Now, is it good practice for him specifically? I don't know. So we're just going to have to we'll keep going. All right. We got my man, Joshua. All right. So Joshua is here. All right. So, Joshua's got to be cool because he has the name Joshua. He's got approximately 140 in a rollover. I probably should have converted that to a Roth 7 years ago when it was only 50,000, but I didn't. And I've contributed my max contributions every year. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how much tax I would owe now to convert, or would it be worth it to continue to take the deduction for contributions currently? I plan on retiring at 60. I'm not sure how old he is. I plan on retiring at 60 and delaying the Social Security to 70. All right, so I'm not, I don't get what's going on here. So, okay, I don't know the answer here. So I'm not sure how old he is. He's going to plan on retiring at 60 and wait till he's 70 to take Social Security. But he wants to know how much taxes it would be to convert. Man, I got no idea. But he points out something, goes back to the other question with the guy in the TSP. He's got 50. He has 140,000 in a traditional IRA that 7 years previous was 50. This is critical, man. If he would have converted back then, and we can say this till we're blue in the face. I'm just telling you, one of the benefits of converting. Remember, I was talking earlier in this thing where I said the benefit of gifting while you're alive is you get not only that asset out of your estate, but you get the growth on the asset out of your estate too. You see what I'm saying? The asset's gone, but the growth on the asset's gone. So in this case, my man Josh had $50,000 7 years ago. Now it's worth 140. That's a $90,000 growth that is part of his estate. But now it's going to be part of his taxable income. So if he would have converted, the 50, let's just say it cost him $10,000 in taxes, just for simplicity. So net was $40,000, and then it would be worth, I don't know, 130 right now. I'm just using that for example. So if he would have converted 50, paid 10,000 in taxes, it might be worth 120. It doesn't matter. It's still worth significantly more than what it were when it was before. It's just, that's the benefit of the Roth. It's just the growth is there. Now the question that always comes to mind is, can you afford the taxes? And this is where for me, last year I made money, man. The year before I made money. Wait, 2019. Year before I did not. 2019, 20. It was 1 year I didn't make much money. 18. All right. So last year I made money. This year I made money. 2019, 2020. Okay. So for me, my IRA is my biggest holding. And I was like, I should do the CARES Act. I should do the CARES Act. I should do the CARES Act. But I just didn't want to pay the tax on what my income stream was for last year. And so far this, I didn't want to do it, which sucks because if 2018, the stupid commie virus would have hit, it would have been great because I had no income. I mean, literally, I made no money because I just started my business. It would have been fantastic. But man, to pay taxes, let's say, 32%, 24%, whatever it is, that's a lot of taxes that you got to pay to lose a quarter of the value to convert. And one fell swoop. That's tough. If you can bite the bullet and do it, man, my blessings to you. I know people who can. I'm like, dude, that is fantastic. I wish I had the guts to do it. I don't. But man, I know people have done that. I'm just like, man, that's freaking fantastic. So if I was Josh right here, I said freaking, I don't know his circle. I have no idea what's going on, how old he is, how his thing. I have no idea. So I'm not going to tell him what to do. Let's use a hypothetical Josh, old Josh Scanlon. I said, man, just bite the bullet, be done with it. But man, when it comes to stroking that check, adding $140,000 off an income, let's just say he's making $100,000, that puts him in the 28%, whatever it is, 25, 32% tax bracket. It's tough. All right, so let's see what else we got. I keep this huge list of questions, and I always tell myself I'm going to go through them, do videos one by one, but it's just easier to do these. Oh, I got to monetize this. Oh man, I forgot to monetize the last time, so I wasn't making any money. Oh man, I got to monetize this puppy so I can get that sweet sniffy Joe Biden ads. Actually, who's running ads nowadays? Maybe it's hedge fund managers. Maybe they're running ads. Need that sweet ad revenue. And don't forget, I got 2 channels, Josh Scanlon and this one. I got 200 people right here and 44 on my other channel. So if you want to do me a solid, you can do both. And next Saturday, Dustin Tibbetts, everyone's favorite YouTuber, will be joining us live and in person on his channel and on my channel at the same time. So you can live stream both of them, and we both get that sweet YouTube Sniffy Joe and George Soros revenue. Did you hear Kamala was doing an interview in West Virginia the other day, and Joe Manchin was like, "What the hell are you doing, dude?" She's trying to put the squeeze on Manchin to be a liberal. And look, I don't trust Manchin as far as I could kick him, but that did not go over well because West Virginia is not big on sniffy or commie law. And it was just kind of funny. So what happened was Manchin was taken unaware of it. He goes, and then she was talking. We got to worry about the landmines, the abandoned landmines in West Virginia. Is abandoned mine lands, fool. We aren't dealing with the best and the brightest in D.C. Can we just acknowledge that? Kamala is not that bright. Joe Biden, he's about as bright as a friggin' train wreck. And that guy's never been smart. He's good at politics, that's for sure, but he's not a bright man. Kamala, not a bright lady, that's for sure. All right, there we go. So we just monetize that so I can make that sweet far left money from the World Economic Forum. I'm sure they're advertising, so we'll take that. All right. Charlene says, I really like your channel. All right. I agree with you on everything. All right. Well, that's good. I'm attempting to move some funds from Mass Mutual over to Vanguard, and I'm very illiterate regarding what funds I should invest in. I know I need to get away from the high management fees. I should have seen that over the years. Oh, okay, so she's paying a lot of expenditures for her funds, and it's been hurting her growth. Also, I just did 2 rollovers from previous employers, and that money is just sitting in a brokerage account right now because I'm not sure how or when to invest. Is this something I could help her with? I'd like to get everything set up so it's based on autopilot and leave it alone. I'm 56, employed full-time, but looking to make some changes. We can discuss further details. Okay. I'm not that interested in that just because, and I'll give her some guidance here, but my services really isn't including investment in terms of you should pick this or you should pick that. It's really just allocation because I'm an index guy. I think you buy the index. I don't care if it's Vanguard, Schwab, it doesn't matter to me. But you buy an index, be it VTI, be it the bond index, something like that. But basically, you got to say how much on my. Let's say she had $300,000. I don't think she said. How much can I lose in a year? All right. And I really think if you need to look at 30% on the stock side. So you say, look, and that's what I say to people all the time. If I'm sitting there today, I got my little thing here, and I say, okay, I got $300,000. It's a good chance that could go up to $330,000. 10% is not unreasonable in the markets, that's for sure. There's a good chance it could stay at $300,000. And there's a good chance it could go down a certain amount, but we always are looking to what's the net amount at risk. And that is what you got to focus on. So I say, what happens if we lost 30% and now we're down to 210? So here's what I do. I show people this right here. I say, okay, so you got $300,000 here. Now it's a good chance you'll be 330. You get 10%, maybe more, but we're always looking the amount of the downside. No one cares about the upside volatility. They're mostly looking at the downside. Now we could go flat, all right? We could be flat, but we could have a pretty bad market where we're down 30%. That is not that unusual. So I say, if we were here today, a year from now, and 300,000 is worth 210. Are you going to be able to live with that? That's $90,000 you lost. And don't forget, just because it's down to 210, we don't know if it's going down more. We have ample evidence the market's going down the next year after that. Could go another 10% after that. I mean, there's ample evidence that it doesn't just spring back overnight. So if we're having this conversation a year from now and we're down to 210 and we got bad things going on in the world, are you able to hang with that? And you just got to think that through. Now, in her case, she's many moons away from stopping working, but like the guy before, I forgot his name, Brandon, I think, who got out in March. I mean, just this is the realistic things you can't just say you could be down 30%. You got to say you're be down $90,000. And the way I look at it is I say, okay, $90,000, for simplicity, it cost me $45,000 a year to live on. I just lost 2 years of expenditures for one bad market cycle. And I'm not even out of the woods yet. I could be, I don't know. That, I tell you, man, it's a challenge, especially if retirement is looming. It's a challenge. There's no right or wrong answer for here. So that's what I tell people all the time. Say, stop looking at it in volatility terms. You look at actual dollars, but not just in dollars, but actual how much those dollars are for you specifically in terms of your expenditures. I always look at mortgages, I'll tell you. So let's just say you got $3,000 a month mortgage and you lose $24,000. You're down for whatever the portfolio, I don't even care. That's 8 months of mortgage. That's what I look at. I said, man, I'm down 8 months of mortgage. You know what I'm saying? So when the market fell in March, I was down a whole lot of mortgages. You know what I'm saying? And I say, oh, this sucks, man. A whole lot of mortgages. But remember, we were down fast, but we did not know March. I think it was March 23rd. That was the bottom. We did not know. I think I did a video saying, I think this is getting close to the bottom. And I forgot what the reasoning behind that was. But I remember I did that. I said, I don't know. I forgot. But anyway, so then if I say, look, you can handle it, just buy the index, VTI, and just let it run. If you can't, maybe buy the Wellesley fund. If you need to be more conservative. If you need to be a little bit in between, you buy the friggin' Wellington fund, something like that, the Fidelity Balance Fund, something like that. We'll go over this stuff, but there's no way I say you should buy this. No way, Jose. I can't do that. All right, so let's keep going. We got my man Jeremy. All right, Jeremy is on here. He says, I'll be retiring in 4 months and going back and forth. Okay. He's saying I'll be retiring in 4 months and going back and forth whether or not I should do the lump sum or not. I saw your blog on the return doing the monthly. I don't get what he's saying there. All right. So, okay. My lump sum will be 608,000. And my monthly income will be 3,260 for life. Did we already do this one? All right. So he's got 608 versus 3260 for life. I did the formula and the return is 1556.10. I don't understand what that is. I'm not sure what he's saying. All right, so I'm not sure what he's saying. So I don't know what that means. 15. So anyway, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take. So remember, so quiz time. 3,260 a month times 12 equals, so we're going to go 3,260 times 12. That's 39,120. So we go 39 divide by 608. Oops. Did come out there and post. Oops. Oh, I got to do it here. Okay, so divide by 608. Divide by 608,000. That gives us a 6.4% distribution yield. That's No, I'm not. No, that's what I'm doing. I'm typing in the chat so people can see what I'm doing. So 6.4% distribution yield, Jeremy. I don't know what the 1556.10 thing is. I'm not sure what that is, but man, that's tough to turn down. I don't know if it's got a cost of living adjustment. He doesn't say. He doesn't say if it's a 100% survivor benefit. So let me just type a couple things. 100% survivor benefit or how old you are. All right, so those are the things that would be what we need to consider. But man, 6.4. My initial inclination is to take that annuity, take the pension. That would be tough to turn down, in my opinion. But if you're going to die tomorrow, don't. If you're going to live, if you're only 58 years old, a survivor benefit of 100% plus a cost of living adjustment, that's a no-brainer. So anyway, that's that would be, you should not turn that down for sure. All right, so let's keep going. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so this, my man Dave says, All right, so this is interesting. Dave said, I was touched by your recent video of the folks looking at park models and RVs for retiring. I know I've looked at the 399 square foot model and I'm okay with them. However, my wife wants a little bit bigger size than that. We've been looking around getting 10 acres of land and putting a Leland cabin on it. They are similar to manufactured homes as they are built off-site and delivered to the property. They can build a porch and resize rooms to fit your needs. They have a great variety of sizes from 280 square feet to 1,500 square feet. Once everything is done, it'll be paid in full, and I only have to pay the taxes and insurance. Living with no house payment is great. I read an article when I was checking stock prices that talked about the number of middle-class people who are losing their jobs or taking pay cuts due to the current business environment. I was shocked that these people had $25,000 to $35,000 in just credit card debt alone, with $2,500 or more in house payments and $1,200 in lease payments for cars and $800 in student loan payments. Many have well over 50% debt to income ratio. They were paying the minimum payments on credit cards. Yeah, I don't know that to be true or not. I mean, that could be anecdotal, could be Apple. I don't know. But if that's you, that's not him, but that's you. That's ooh. One person said he plans to pay off his 8 credit cards with $38K in debt on them over the next 2.5 years and then start focus on retirement. But now he'll say he'll just have to file bankruptcy. I'm so glad in 1999 I decided that being in debt was crazy and just stopped using my credit cards. I paid them all off, got completely out of debt while I put 3 kids through college. It wasn't easy, but it's well worth it. At age 45, I had a net worth of less than $10,000 with nothing to save for retirement. Now is at a level I never thought possible because I did the actions mentioned above. I'm almost 65 and will be retiring in May. I had planned to work until 70 in order to catch up from past mistakes, but having no debt has made a huge difference. Yeah, man. Your book on living with Social Security was a big help, and just listening to your videos has been a constant reminder of the things that need to be followed. That's good stuff, man. I'm in the quadrant of debt with a pension, of no debt with a pension, and you are right. We can easily retire on these conditions. That's fantastic, man. Who's I listened to? I was listening to somebody. What was it? I forgot. Somebody's just listened to how things have changed in the last 30 or 40 years. Man, who was that? As a liberal too. And he didn't blame Reagan. He didn't blame. He was actually more than anything Clinton. Who was that? There's a podcast, and I remember it was a liberal, and he was kind of blaming Clinton in the third wave with the Tony Blair of UK, the Labour Party, Clinton. How they wanted to get on, with the. It was interesting. I can't remember, but it's just he was saying basically what happened was we got this globalization, just fiendish essentially, and the Democrats. God, who was that? And the Democrats, sold their souls of labor unions for the upper elite environmentalists. You know what I'm saying? And the Republican Party has always kind of been, the corporatist anyway. And so he said there's no real populist party anymore for anybody. I think the Republican Party is certainly that now, certainly more so than Democrats, but it's got a long ways to go. Anyway, the point being was that kind of along what my man here was just saying is like, look, everyone's just spending as if the party will never stop, but at some point it's got to stop. And he wasn't being like a nigga, like, oh, we're all going to die. It's just like, this is just something happened the last 30 years. And he kind of put it on Clinton, like NAFTA and all that crap. And how, prescient now it seems Ross Perot was, that giant sucking sound to the South. Trump should have got more credit on getting rid of NAFTA. It's just funny. And I chuckled that too, because I actually it's funny seeing this liberal kind of come against Clinton. I kind of came against Reagan in some regard. Some of the deregulation that we had in the 80s really opened up the way for LBOs, leveraged buyouts, things of this nature. Some of the stuff with George Bush getting rid of some of that. It was there's a banking act, the Graham Bliley Leach got rid of the banking. I can't remember the banking act was, where you could not have investment companies and banking companies working under the same roof. And Graham Bliley Leach got rid of that. That's Bush signed. Anyway, on both sides of the equation, the Dems and the right have all freaking thrown in with the corporatists, the globalists. That's just a fact. And we've been living on borrowed money all this time. And Reagan's, hell, I'd even say it's Carter, believe it or not. Carter started it. And I think there's some benefits to it. Don't get me wrong. Deregulation, Carter got rid of deregulated over-the-road trucking. Carter got rid of the fixed commissions. I mean, Carter did a lot, I think even airplanes. Carter did a lot of good stuff, Carter and Kennedy. Reagan continued for sure. I think the pendulum swung way too much, though. I really, really do. And then Clinton followed along, and so did Tony Blair in the UK. It's just amazing how, step by step, these things in lockstep. And then the commies fell, and all of a sudden it was like the party will never end. It was just an interesting dynamic here, and I'm just we've just been spending too much. And this is the issue that comes with all these people think inflation is coming because of government spending. If this is what makes us different than Japan. I mean, I don't know what the individual consumer debt is in Japan. We could easily find it by looking at trading economics. I don't feel like doing that right now, but in America, it's not like we're sitting on a bunch of cash and no debt. It's just not true. So, you might give us $1,400, Sniffy Joe. But at the end of the day, all that's going to do is go to pay down debt. That is not a stimulus from an inflationary perspective. It's just not. I'm sorry. We've already pulled that consumption forward, if that makes sense. So by Sniffy Joe and Kamala giving us all this money, and look, Trump would do the same thing. I like saying Sniffy jokes. I know there are people on here that get mad when I say that, but it's fun. Sniffy, 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 Sniffy. But anyway, long story short, Trump did the same thing. But we got this isn't going to stimulate anything because we've already pulled this consumption from previous years and we're paying it back today. So it's not like we're sitting on, we can just go out all of a sudden splurge like freaking drunken sailors or drunken infantrymen. Excuse me, my Navy brothers. So I don't think that's a huge issue when it comes to inflation with the stimulus package and all that. I just don't. Again, I'm not sure what the debt to income ratio is for the average Japanese. I don't know, but in America, it ain't low. That's a fact. And so just, I don't know. It's interesting. There's enough blame to go around. What happens actually, I think for me, the best thing that ever happened was Obama being elected, because how quickly I saw that Obama and Bush were two sides of the same coin. I saw it, man. I said, I put all this energy in Bush, and I said, I literally never forget how despondent I heard, what's his name, Sean, as coming back from a bank training in 2004, coming back from Charlotte, North Carolina. I was driving home, and it was the election night, and in 2004, and I'll never forget, it's 5 o'clock, and Sean Hannity just seemed despondent. The most important election of our time, because the exit polls show that Kennedy, or what's his name, freaking Kerry with his private jets was going to win. And I remember, I'll forget, I said, oh man, it's, we're doomed. It didn't happen. I'll never forget 2008 thinking, oh no, socialism is here. We're all going to be freaking going to the gulag. It didn't happen. It's just, and they were the same exact people, Bush and Obama. And that's when I realized that these guys, everything's just the same. McConnell, Chuck Schumer, all the same people. You know what I'm saying? They're just trying to pit people against each other. There's no other way around that. And we fall for it. I fell for it for many moves. Now, look, I love making fun of the Democrats. I'll make fun of them more than the Republicans, because at least Republicans are going to protect, hopefully, my right to firearms. That's my most important civil liberty, right to own a firearm. Democrats don't. Republicans will. And as long as I will still throw in the Republicans, as long as they are they hold the Second Amendment dear. But other than that, it's like there's not that much difference between the two. There's all there is to it. the Democrats, I mean, look, they're Bolsheviks. Their base is Bolsheviks. I get that. The Republican base is just basically middle class people, middle managers, or hopefully entrepreneurs. But this whole spending thing has been, we just spend too much. The families have shrunk, but the houses got bigger. Why? Well, because we can afford it by putting on lower monthly payments, like the car loan. Hey, for next year, what's your, go to a car dealership. They don't ask you what your price is. They ask you what your monthly payment goals are. Well, if you could finance this for 84 months. We saw something the other day on the TV, like we can finance this for 84 months. It's like, holy crap. Went from 60 months to 72 to 84. It's crazy. All right, let's keep going. Then we'll see what you guys have here. All right, cool. We're about an hour in. Alma says, hope this email finds you well. It does. I purchased your 2 books and appreciate the info on the Roth. My brother actually got me connected to you. Anyway, I know you're crazy busy, but would like your insight on the following. I have a term life insurance policy with AIG. The quarterly payments are under $115. So that'd be 230. That'd be a little bit less than $500 a year. I was wondering if I should purchase a long-term care insurance policy. I'm 51 years old and healthy. Very few drastic ailments that run in the family. I guess my reason for asking this question is whether it is worth continuing the term life policy or that's a good question. Or looking at something else. I did have a UL policy, but it's expensive to maintain. Okay, good. So UL is universal life. It's permanent life insurance. So basically, there's 2 types of permanent life insurance. There's whole life, where you literally sign up to pay the premium for your whole life. Now you can pay it and be paid up at certain intervals, but basically that's what whole life is. They're basically saying the risk is on the insurance company. So as long as you make your premiums, for a fact what your cash value is going to be and what your death benefit will be. That's whole life. There's no risk to you other than it's pretty expensive. But you could do better if the experience that the insurance company gets in terms of interest rates and whatnot is better. But generally speaking, whole life, there's no risk to you other than the premium payments are pretty high. Universal life, the risk is to the insurance company because the interest rates go up and down. So as such, I guess you could say it the other way around. I'm thinking more the risk to the insurance company, but it's actually the risk is on you, simply because you might not have that policy might not be funded. It might expire before you do because you underfunded it, if that makes sense. It's kind of, I don't want to get too deep in this, but basically with universal life, you don't know. It's almost like a defined benefit. A pension is a whole life. A defined contribution is a universal life. I mean, you're putting a certain amount in, but you really have no idea what's going to happen to your cash value, the interest rates, or your death benefit, or even if that policy will stay in force for your whole life. So she has a universal life where the risk is on the insurance company, but what that means is they don't know what the rate's going to be. I guess you could say the risk is on you because you really don't know. I'd rather, I guess you could say, because I don't know what's going to end up. But at the end of the day, the insurance, you might need to put more money in, you might need to put less money in. It just depends on what the interest rates do, for sure. And frankly, we just don't know with universal life. The problem with universal life is my experience is when the interest rates just collapse from the 80s to 90s to now, a lot of policies are not, they're dying. They're dead. If they're not dead already, they're dying. And they'll be dead before the insured is dead, which means you paid all this money into premiums and there will be no payout. It's actually quite bad. And unfortunately, insurance companies don't do a good job at educating people like, hey, Mrs. Smith or Alma, you need to cut us a check for $15,000 or else that insurance policy is going to go kaput. It's a horrible conversation to have with somebody. I'm telling you right now. Anyway, so I don't know if she's married. I don't know if she has debt. I don't know what her situation is. So she's wondering if she should consider essentially moving her $460 a month to a long-term care, $460 a year to a long-term care insurance policy. Sure, but you're not going to get much with $460 a year, Alma. Almost 51 years old, and she's a woman. You're not the $460 a year that you're paying for term. It's not going to buy you much. It just won't. Now, you're only 51, so if you're going to get a long-term care insurance policy, now's the time to do it for sure. But you're going to come to the table with a whole lot more money than $460 a year, let me tell you. So I have long-term care between both my wife and I, and we got it. I think I was 39 when I got it, and she was then 35. Oh, got a picture. Hold on just a second. Oh, look at baby cakes. He's such a baby. Look at that baby. Oh, baby. Love that dog. Oh, there they are. Right there. Yeah, man. Anyway, so when we bought ours, being 39 and 35 respectively, the premiums were pretty cheap. But even back then, they're still like $80 a month for each of us. So it's still like $160 a month. And now I'm 50. So I've had that for 11 years, and she's 46. And now they're basically twice that. You know what I'm saying? So look, I'm just not the biggest fan of long-term care insurance. I'm just not. But as a 51-year-old, it ain't gonna be freaking $460 a year. I'll tell you that right now. So I'm not against it. I'm just, I'm not against these. We used to have these things called Lincoln Money Guard, and they still have them, which is basically a whole life policy that has an accelerated death benefit for long-term care coverage, which I'm a fan of. And I remember I sold a couple when I was a broker, and for instance, these guys. This is back in 2005, I guess. Put $50,000 in as a one-time drop-in. They had 230,000 as long-term care, 116,000 as a death benefit, and they still have access to that 50,000 if they wanted. I can't remember the whole thing, but it's actually it's a nice way to actually have a life insurance, a long-term care, and you're not locked up your money if you want it. I'm a fan of that stuff. I don't know what the products are doing nowadays. I'm sure they're even better than they were. But Lincoln Money Guard was a good product. I liked it. Now the problem is like a Swiss Army's knives. When you're the jack of all trades, you're the master of none. So it's not the most efficient cash holding. It's not the most efficient life insurance. It's not the most efficient long-term care, but it does give you those three things. So I kind of like them. All right, so let's do a couple more here. It's good to get some of these off. They've been I'm like, I got to do these questions because it's like, I don't want to let people down. Funny thing, when you start developing a YouTube channel, you're like, if I don't do a video, people are going to forget you. I mean, literally you think that, and you're like, people are wondering where I'm at. It's weird, man. Like you think that sounds like you're being cocky or not. You're like, I gotta perform. But then when I get these questions just built up, I'm like, people ask these questions, I gotta get to them. It's weird, man. I thought someone was talking to me. I thought the old ball and chain was calling my name. You call me, babe? You want to come on and say hi to everybody? Oh, boo. She's wearing a sweatshirt. All right. Ron says, I would like a video discussing the current risks and future returns of a typical 60-40 portfolio with bond interest rates being so low and the risk now in bonds, and maybe some ideas on how to mitigate the risks. So it's funny. So Ron's more worried about the bonds than the stocks. I mean, the way you minimize bond risk, of course, is having no bonds, if that makes sense. I mean, you either have CDs instead of the 40% bonds, or you just go 100% stocks. So that would be how you minimize the risk on bonds. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not all that worried about bonds. I mean, you're not going to make much money in them, if anything. I'm telling you. In terms of risk, though, downside, man. If you look at history at the bonds, anytime there's a 1-year drop off, they come back up. The issue is you're not going to get more than the current yield. And like right now, the 10-year Treasury, I think, has spiked lately. We'll see if that sticks. The 10-year Treasury is at 1.09, basically 1.1. So we know for a fact that the 10-year Treasury, if you bought it today, you're getting 1.1%. That's it. No more, no less. So the risk is that after taxes and inflation, you're losing money in that. I'm not worried about it because interest rates rise, the bond price will go down. It doesn't matter because it will mature at whatever the par value is. So, I mean, bonds are issued at, $10,000 a bond. You hold it to maturity, you'll get $10,000 a bond, as long as it doesn't go bankrupt, and treasury bonds can't inherently. So there's no risk in terms of principal there. The only risk is you're not keeping enough for future costs of living increases, inflation, with only getting 1% of interest, if that makes sense. And so, to minimize that, well, you could go to CDs. You're not getting anything there either. There's no other way to avoid that. So a lot of people think, oh my goodness, Josh, as bond rates go up, the price of bonds will go down. This is just, bonds are the easiest. I've done this 1,000 times a Sunday, but bonds are the easiest thing in the world to navigate. It's just as simple. You start with $100, 1,000, basically the price in hundreds, but it's usually 1,000 or 10,000 is the par value. You start with $100. As long as it doesn't go bankrupt, it matures at $100. It's just that simple. No more, no less. Now the interest rates, let's just say you're getting 1%. All right, that's your. So on a $1,000 bond, you're getting 1% as a treasury yield. You're getting, what's that, $10? Yeah, $10 a year. Yeah, $10 a year. Literally, you're getting $10 a year on a $1,000 bond. And I'm just, again, most treasuries will certainly not going to trade for 1,000, but just for simplicity. So you're getting $10 a year. Wow. Now, if new bonds are issued, all right, that come out, they're paying 2%. Well, the price of your bond will drop. It will drop in value because a new bond is paying 2%, and it was also issued at 100. So the new bond is issued at 100 and it's paying 2%. It's paying twice the interest rate yours is for the same level of risk in terms of the Treasury Department. It can't go bankrupt. Might be different maturities, but still, at the end of the day, inherently, of the two bonds, someone's going to buy this one for 100. They're not going to buy yours for 100. They're only going to buy yours for 90. And there's a calculation you can quickly use to figure this out. But they're not going to buy it they're not going to buy a 1% bond for 100 when they can buy a 2% bond for 100. So inherently, to keep things even, Steven, this price has to drop, which it will. So everyone thinks, oh, I just lost 10%. No, you didn't, man, because it will come back. It's going to come back to 100 at maturity. It's just that simple. You're not going to get any more or less than your current yield. It's not, unless it goes bankrupt. Bonds are the simplest thing to navigate. So to mitigate the risk on bonds, well, there isn't any risk unless you have bonds that are junk and they could go bankrupt. The only risk is that you don't make enough income to pay the taxes and to keep up with inflation. The counter to that, of course, Finney, what a nut. The counter to that, of course, is that if we do go to low inflation, i.e., or even a deflationary time, man, bonds are your best friend, dudes. Just look at Japan. Just look at the 1930s. I'm just telling you, bonds are your friend in deflationary times. Anytime you're the loaner, you're loaning money to somebody, and we have deflation, your fixed income, it has more purchasing power every single year. So if I am paying you $200 a year to borrow your money, that $200 a year might be able to buy one coffee cup today. Next year, because of deflation, it might be able to buy one coffee cup and one pen. You see what I'm saying? That same $200. Fixed income loves deflation. Borrowers hate deflation. Borrowers love inflation because fixed income starts to lose its value. So it really depends. So, I mean, again, if interest rates go up, does that mean we have super inflation? Maybe, without question, but damage is already done. You already got the bond. So the only way to mitigate is not to have it at all. All right, let's take one more. That's my man, G-Man. All right. G-Man, remember He-Man? By the power of Grayskull, I have the power. All right, so question. What is He-Man's pet name? Anyone know? Now I'm drawing a blank what it was myself. It was, I remember. He-Man. Who knows He-Man's pet name? Anybody know? He-Man's pet name. He-Man. Remember Skeletor? That's Joe Biden. Joe Biden looks like Skeletor. Actually, we should. Joe Biden, Skeletor. No, not Battle Cat. No, He-Man's pet name. Come on, man. Freaking Dan, Fido. You don't know He-Man? No, it wasn't Cringer. Yes, He-Man's Cringer. Exactly. Come, Battle Cat. What the hell is that? It's Cringer. What's Battle Cat from? Is he from Thundercats? Thundercats. Anyway, just quick story. When my dad moved to Portland, all right, after about 2 years of him living there, I moved in with him when I was 7th grade, I think. I can't remember, 7th grade, something like that. Now remember, we didn't have a TV for the first 10 years. When I was on Peaks Island, 8 years, something like that, we didn't even have a TV, not even a TV. Anyway, my dad moved to Portland, and it was like an urban area. It was right by the University of Southern Maine Law School. All right, so University of Maine Law School. Like literally, we used to, being a couple guys in the neighborhood, go play football right there on the USM Law School, or the University of Maine Law School field right there. Sometimes we get kicked off, piss me off. But anyway, so long story short, so we were living in the city, the big city, and not only did my dad have a TV, he got cable. So when I was like in 8th grade, man, he got cable. I remember coming home from school, and I think my brother was living with me then. Yeah, so Ben was up there living with me. Coming home from school, good energy tonight? That's it, Miss MRG? You're saying I don't have good energy? I've never heard that before. But anyway, so we'd come home from school, and we'd watch cartoons on like a Tuesday afternoon. Battle Cat's the alter ego of Cringer? No way. I did not know that. All right. So, John, I take it back. John says Battle Cat is the alter ego of Cringer. I don't remember. Anyway, but I remember He-Man, dude. He-Man was on. I was sitting there thinking, holy crap. We get cartoons on. It wasn't even Saturday morning. It was literally the best thing ever. He-Man was on there, Thundercats, and seems like I'm missing something else. I forgot. But then they had the USFL, and like for me as a football outlet, man, USFL was like heaven, man. It was on ESPN. Loved it. And then they actually had the Maine Mariners went to the Calder Cup finals against I think it's the Rochester Americans, and they showed the Maine Mariners. It was like I said, this is like the best thing ever, man. I took a Red Bull for the stream. What? I had the He-Man. Oh man, I took a Red Bull. I thought you guys were gonna say I was low energy because I'm not feeling that great. That's funny, man. Oh man, I had the He-Man. I had the He-Man. Anyway, so that oh man, you remember it was like just growing up. And the funny thing is, everyone said, "Oh, you're watching too much TV." Now I said, "Oh, you're on electronics too much." Speaking of which, I'm gonna be right back. Okay. No way. You want to come in? Huh? All right. Want to show everybody your beautiful face? Oh boy, we have a visitor. Come on over, Rover. Come here. You can come up. We got a visitor. There we go. Come here. I love that guy. Finney had a dead mouse in his mouth today. I let him kiss me all over. That's how you deal with coronavirus. Yep, right there. There he goes. Right there. Oh, yeah. Kiss me with that dead mouse. That's right, buddy. Oh, now he's wanting to leave. It did, Eric. It helped a lot, actually. Actually, it's funny. No, he's not a second dog. No, he is not. No, trust me. Negative. Pablo is not second. The guy who Liam is eating some popcorn, so Pablo's sitting there looking at Liam saying, "Gimme, gimme, gimme." So that's where Pablo is. JM Bullion, Deborah. JMBullion.com. Big fan. Anyway, so check this out. Reasons, selfish reasons to have more kids. Why being a great parent is less work and more fun. So I just want to read you something real quick because parents. So the point being is that remember growing up, they're like, oh, there's too much TV. There's too much. Now it's too much electronics. There's too much this, too much that, too much this, too much that. They've been saying that for years. In fact, I was reading Laura Ingram's daughter, not Laura Ingram from Fox. You know, Laura Ingram, is that her name? From the Rose Wilder Lane, or from South Dakota, the Little House on the Prairie lady. It was Laura Ingram, right? Ingalls? Maybe Laura Ingalls. Yeah, anyway, Rose Wilder Lane was her daughter. And Rose Wilder Lane was a huge libertarian hero. Huge. Anyway, she was saying that her mom, Ingalls, right on, Rosalind Capital. Nope, I don't do that. No, I still love Pablo, man. I just holding Pablo for like freaking hours straight today while I was cooking some turkey. I bought this smoked turkey thing from Costco. I didn't like it. Anyway, long story short. So Rose Wilder Lane, she had said that her mom thought she was reading too much. So go outside, she reads too much. So this is like in the turn of the century, last century. Rose Wilder Lane was being hit up. Her mom said, "You read too much." Fast forward to our generation, you're watching too much TV. Now the new generation, you're on too much electronics. Isn't that funny? You're always doing too much. Anyway, right here, I just want to share something with you. Parents have little effect on how much school their kids get. Parents feel an intense obligation to be involved with their kids' education. Does this involvement yield fruit? Most twin and adoption studies respond, maybe, but the rest give a flat-out no. So basically, we got this. In 1955, a guy, an Oregon businessman, and his wife adopted 8 Korean orphans. Soon they set up a charity to help other Americans adopt disadvantaged Koreans. The adopting families were unusually diverse. To be eligible, blah, blah, blah. There was lots going on here. In 2004, economist Bruce Sacerdote tracked down 1,600 of the Korean adoptees and their adopting families to see how they turned out. Nurture influenced the Koreans' education assess. More educated moms and fewer siblings both helped, but only slightly. If the mother had an extra year of education, the child finished 5 weeks of education. So basically, it helped a little bit. Nurture helped a little bit. The Korean adoption study is most remarkable, though, for what it failed to find. Rich parents routinely try to give their kids an edge by moving to good school districts, hiring tutors, and paying tuition for fancy schools. Yet neither family income nor neighborhood nor increased income neither family income nor neighborhood income increased adoptees' academic success. If you ever thought it was unfair for rich parents to buy their children's way through school, be at peace that they don't get what they pay for. Another major study of 2,000 Swedish adoptees plus their adoptive and birth parents got almost the same results. The main difference, it talks about the point being, your kids are who they are by genetics. It doesn't. Your kids are who they are by genetics. Nearly 100% of the variation in the happiness of your children seems to be due to individual differences in genetic makeup. The single most impressive study interviewed almost 8,000 twins from Virginia and found zero effect of parenting on self-esteem for both men and women. Parents try to build their kids up, but science backs the slogan that self-esteem comes from within. Many parents obsess over their children's success. They don't just help them a little with their homework. They plan out their lives, beginning with elite preschools, and use any chance they get to give the kids a leg up. Successful parents have successful kids. The reason most parent assumes is that the winners had more help from mom and dad. Twin and adoption studies say the opposite. Successful parents may give their kids a small edge, but heredity is much more important. Kids literally inherit educational and financial success from their parents. The most influential gift that parents can give their children is not money, connections, or help with homework, but just the genetic right stuff. Man, I tell you, this right here, this book, and look, I don't like Brian Kaplan's take on unlimited immigration. I'll tell you right now, I've bashed him a couple times on that. But that book right there is one of the life changes I had, because it says, look, dude, your kids are going to be who they are. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why I bring that up, because we're just, the point being, your kids are going to be who they are. Stop worrying about it so much. But they're too much electronics. Yeah, I mean, you don't want them sitting in front of the computer all day long. Yeah, and you got a reward in this one. We just took one of my kids' computer away for a week. He's used to be grounded. He had to stay inside. Well, now no one goes outside anymore. So now he's grounded by not being on the computer because he's been a stinker. Teenage boys, stinkers, shocking. But at the end of the day, the idea that, oh my goodness, what I do is going to affect what my kids do is silly. There's just the evidence is so overwhelming. It's study after study after study of parents with adoptive kids. It's amazing. It's actually amazing. It's breathtaking. The idea that, oh, if I tell little Joey this and tell him not to do that, he'll be freaking the next, Bill Gates or something like that. Well, where'd Pablo go? All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh boy, you want to quiz Charlotte on some retirement planning topics? Hey, babe. Someone wants to quiz you on retirement planning topics. One of the guys on the YouTube channel? I don't know anything. You do know stuff. She said she didn't know anything. She knew enough to marry me. She said I'm the expert. Oh boy. All right, let's see. Anything? Finney is loud. Oh, you can hear him. I heard dead people voting. Not sure about dogs voting. I'm sure they did, man. Pablo is definitely the alpha dog. Trust me, Jill. We're outside today, and Pablo is chasing Finney. Oh, here he is. Come on, buddy. There we go. All right. Here he is. Everybody's waiting to see Pablo. There he goes. Oh, there he is. Oh yeah. Yeah. I love you too. Yeah. This is always my number one right here. Yeah. My name is Pablo. I live on the second floor. Oh. Oh, here we go, buddy. Yep. He's my little buddy. Finney is 40 pounds. Pablo's 14. After holding Finney, Pablo's like just a little baby. What's he doing? What you got there, big boy? You got your bone? Okay. Ow. Yeah, right on. That's funny. That's like my daughter. I joked, I'm not even sure if my son quit school or not. I have no idea what goes on. He just makes honor roll, so we're good. 100% right. I didn't know. Yeah, Schwab didn't stop GME either. I noticed that, man. Pablo, did you vote in the Georgia election? Pablo voted Trump. Oh man, there you go. Gold from a Nigerian prince. Shit, show up any take now. All right, let's see. So even an interactive broker sent an email saying they suspended. Why? I don't get. Why would you suspend trading on GME? I just don't. I don't understand the premise of that. It's weird. I don't get it. Like, why would you? I mean, trading is simple. You have to have a buy and a sell size. I don't get why anyone would suspend it. Is it a buy and a sell, or is it not a buy and a sell? If there's no other side of the trade, it's the weirdest thing. No, Pablo's not unloved, man. Jeez, poor Pablo. What the heck? They didn't wire my neighborhood for cable until the late 80s. So Saturday morning's the only time. Yeah, man. Yeah. Freedom will ring. Where are you from? Where was that freedom will ring? Remember Slowpoke Gonzalez? Oh boy. Oh yeah. He-Man would be considered. Yeah, everything, Alan. Everything's racist these days, man. All right. Yeah, I didn't have any in the game. I'd be fine with any short-term gains. Yeah, I agree. I don't know what the hell's going on with Rob, like someone was saying today, Robinhood, you aren't their client. The hedge funds are their client, and you are their product, if that makes sense. Dan says bonds are the keel of your sailboat. Sadly, I don't know what the keel means. I don't know what a keel is. The bond funds that have longer, my man James, lose money. They lose money in the price going down, sure, but they don't lose money. It just all comes back to par. That's the thing. So, yeah, there's more risk, there's more volatility in the short term, but in the long term, it all goes back. All right. What if you have bond funds or index? Yeah, sweet right capital. I just kind of late in the night for that now. Cute. I was telling the guy I work, the brokers and market are supposed to keep the trading stable. What's the best way to invest in the precious metals of the TSP? I think it's just got to be the C, right? C fund, and then add some S in there too. So the C and the S are the total stock index. So if you just want the entire stock market, which you should, you buy the C and the S. And so the C put 65% in the C, 35% in the S, and that's the entire stock market right there. Skeletor, yeah, man. Joe Biden, Skeletor. Who's He-Man? Oh my goodness, Moon. How do you not know He-Man? Man, 100%. I think that's right. The Feds do not want deflation because, again, deflation kills the lender. Deflation is awesome for the the Fed deflation. If you're getting a fixed income, I guess, how would that work? No, deflation kills the lender. Yeah, because if you're the lender, no, you love deflation if you're the lender. Absolutely. Inflation destroys if you're the borrower, you want inflation. If you're the lender, yeah, if you're the borrower, you want inflation. That's right. If you're the borrower, you want inflation. If you're the lender, you want deflation. Absolutely. But no, that's right. Then that's right, because the Fed has so much debt outstanding. They are the borrower. Yeah, well, that's right, Lon. I'm 100%. That's right, because they want to inflate their way out of the debt. I was listening to my man, Uneducated Economist. I saw about half his video today. He said the Fed can't inflate their way out of debt. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, they literally have to pay the debt back. I get it, but they can certainly pay it back with cheaper dollars. I didn't follow the whole video, but I wasn't sure where he was going with that. Sure, they can. They can inflate their way out of debt just simply by printing the money and say, here you go. Money's worth less, if that makes sense. Yeah, bonds are not easy to trade. Right on. All right. Stump Rider says he enjoys my personality. Right on, right on. Yeah, but bond funds don't operate in a bubble. I mean, the thing is, bond funds still have bonds. I mean, so it still works the same way. I mean, just because it's a bond fund doesn't mean they have anything unique against an individual bond. All right, let's see. As boomers are leaving the markets and millennials are becoming more dominant, will valuations go out the window? It seems like they throw money at companies, things they like, no matter how crazy. Yeah, I don't think so. At the end of the day, people still want to make money. It sounds good in theory. Say, I took one for the team. Yeah, when you're up freaking, from a $5 trade, now it's at 300. Taking one from the team doesn't look so good, that's for sure. Yeah, I still own 100 shares of XOM. That's for sure. Yep, turn off pipelines so you can pay to truck it in and train to the refineries. Exactly. Can I talk about prepayment risk on government-sponsored entities? Yeah, so prepayment risk is just basically people refinance their mortgages. So if you have a Ginnie Mae, this is probably what's going on right now with Ginnie Mae, as a matter of fact. I mean, the Ginnie Mae yields right now like 1% is low. And the only reason I can factor is that people prepayment risk, that people are refinancing their mortgages to a lower rate. And as such, the Ginnie Mae owners of the bonds are getting lower interest rates right now. That's the only thing I could possibly think. And once interest rates stabilize or go up as they have, that won't happen anymore. But that's what prepayment risk is. Initially you bought it with a 3.25% yield, and now people refinance the rates of their bonds, of their mortgages, of bonds, and now it's at 2.25%, and now actually Ginnie Mae is at 1%. The counter to that is a reinvestment risk. So you got prepayment risk on Ginnie Mae, and I guess any mortgage-backed security. But then you got reinvestment risk, which would be like, I was getting 3, now I'm getting 2 on interest rates. It's just you're getting less and less interest rates as the rates go, or as the rate. The reinvestment risk is you're getting 3% on your bond. Now interest rates are 4%, but because no one's refinancing a 3% to a 4% bond, so there's reinvestment risk in that you're still getting only 3%. Because no one's reinvesting at 4% or refinancing at 4%. So 2 different risks with Ginnie Mae, mortgage-backed security. The reinvestment risk, I'm locked in at 3%, and that's fine. But if the interest rates go to 4%, I'm still getting only 3% because no one's refinancing their debt. The other one would be prepayment risk, where people are prepaying a 3% bond to refinance it at 2%. Yeah, that's all been priced into the Ginnie Mae's for as long as they've been around, and they've still done remarkably well, actually. I think you're right. I think commodity would bring in higher commodity costs. I 100% think that's true. I think commodities, I think they took on a chin last year, didn't they? Well, who should go to jail? I mean that's so who though? Who would be the people that go to jail? Let's identify these people. It's kind of like when John McCain said about campaign finance. He goes, people in the Senate are taking dirty money. And I always said, why doesn't CNN or anyone say who? Who are these people? You're saying people in the Senate, your colleagues in the Senate are doing this. Who? I mean, if you're going to talk smack, make freaking accusations specific, because this is all fake, man. So who is that? You know what I'm saying? Used to drive me up the wall. I hate that. So people said, people are going to, who's going to jail? Hell, we got Kevin Kleinsmith, that clown. He got $100 fine. That's it. It's probation for fabricating a freaking FISA warrant thing. The whole thing's nuts, man. I mean, look, I don't care if you're right wing or left wing. Facts are DC is corporatist leftist. That's what it is. It's corporatist leftist. Globalist, corporatist leftist. I posted something the other day, as a matter of fact. I said, how come there's a YouTube channel? Let me find that. Oops. So we have a YouTube channel called Jing Shu, which is New China TV. New China TV is a YouTube channel with 1.05 million subscribers and is funded by the Communist Chinese government. How come they can be on there and yet Trump can't? It's crazy. Crazy. It's a globalist, corporatist leftism in DC. That's just what there is to it. And we can pretend all day long that freaking another John McCain would stop, or another freaking Mike Pence would stop things, or whatever. It won't, man. It's globalist, corporatist. It just won't. Or Joe Biden. Hell, Joe Biden, freaking nuts. Crazy. It's all the same party. It's one big fat happy party. And he's got a couple of people on the left and a couple of people on the right who wants to challenge it. But by and large, once you get in the system, you're part of the party, man. Now, I just find it funny, too. Now we got Jonah Goldberg and people from the right. They're really upset by a newly elected rep here in Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene or something like that. Oh, clutch my pearls. Oh, like, dude, that boat is so freaking shipped. These guys in National Review, and I just, corporatist, globalist, leftist, a National Review. It's like insane. And wasn't Bill Buckley? It was John O'Sullivan. Any organization that isn't explicitly right wing will become left wing over time. And National Review is part and parcel of that. And hearing Jonah Goldberg, who I used to like, clutches pearls because there's a radical from the right on Congress. I'm like, dude, where the hell you been, dude? I mean, literally, it's boring to say get out of your bubble. I mean, the guy's just weird. But just like, what is it with like people on the right saying, oh, we need to be polite as they're freaking screw these guys. Anyway, that's the right wing right there. The Jonah Goldbergs, the Bill Kristol's, those are the right wing. Those days, I mean, look, if that ever comes back to the Republican Party, they can kiss my butt. I was somewhat happy to see Trump talk about a Patriot Party, but I guess he is not going to do that. So, which is probably a good thing at the end of the day. I mean, the reason we have Woodrow Wilson and progressivism is because Teddy Roosevelt went to the Bull Moose Party and split the ticket, man, and that led us to Woodrow Wilson, which is the beginning, essentially, of the end of the pre, freaking that allowed for the shackles of big government to take over. And Wilson's a horrible man, biggest racist ever. And the fact that he was the only reason he got in office because freaking Teddy Roosevelt. And as you can see, Trump being a little bit of that Teddy Roosevelt. We'll see. And I hope he does not. I hope he just takes the Republican Party from inside out because third party is not going to work, man. Jill said mine is only a couple hundred a month and it stayed the exact same. All right, so Jill's got long-term care. Right on, man. Yeah, it's mine is only a couple hundred a month and it stayed the exact same for the last 10 years. That's fantastic. Long-term treasuries looking interesting. Yeah, they probably take it on the chin. Whole life insurance. I have 2 whole life policies on each of my 4 kids. All right, so each child has whole life insurance, and they're both paid up at 20. If that makes sense. So by the time they reach 20, all of them are paid up in 20 years. That's what it was, paid up at 20 years. So once we've been paying the premiums for 20 years, they're all paid up. Never have to pay another premium again, which is good. And then they'll just get. I got Knights of Columbus, which is participating. I can't remember. I think it is. USA is not, if memory serves. I can't remember. But anyway, that's what I have. So I'm all about whole life as long as you can get it. As long as you take it when you're young and you can afford it for sure. My man says he can't get life insurance due to health issues from military service. I 100% right. A good friend of mine, Rich, when he went to Iraq, he got NBC stuff in his lungs, and one of his lungs essentially doesn't work. So he came back from Iraq. He can't get life insurance in the private, through the private company because he's uninsurable. Thankfully, he was smart enough to get life insurance previous to going to Iraq, so he's going to carry that till he's dead for sure. And he's got 6 kids. He's Catholic, and he lives in Louisiana. So he's going to die just from the smell and the rain down there in Louisiana. Go through Baton Rouge, you're like, yeah. So it's only a matter of time for he's dead anyway. I'm being funny. That might not be that funny. I thought it was kind of funny. I bought long-term care about my man Rich knows what I'm talking about. He pays basically $1,000 a year, man. Yeah, but Harry bought it 20 years ago. That's the way to do it. So my man Harry with his wife is 10 times better looking than he, if that's indicative of his picture. He bought it 20 years ago. He pays about $1,000 a year. That's not too shabby. Now we're not seeing what the benefits are. We got to look at the benefits. How much is the daily benefit? What's the elimination period? All that stuff. But at the end of the day, that's a keeper for sure. I have not noticed the price of gas since Uncle Joe took over. Has it gone way up? I bet it probably has. Maria's Sunday morning futures was hit the bullseye for the range of critical issues. Cannot understand how anyone could be happy with this new illegit government. Well, because they're getting paid, man. They're getting paid. And the money. I mean, that, Jill. If you're in DC, you just want the money. You'll listen what the commies tell you to do as long as you get the money. Yep. If fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism. And funny, Malcolm X says the same thing about white liberals. It's pretty, White Wall Street bets server on Discord as well. I don't even know what server Discord is, man. I can't tell you to do this, but I understand your sentiment. Cash out bonds and keep cash. So when the market tanks, you can invest the cash. Right on. Yeah, no bonds. Yeah, I think oil will be going up now that no more fracking on federal lands. These guys are freaking nuts. Yeah, I mean, I advocate Wellesley and Wellington a lot because I do think bonds serve a purpose in terms of mitigating downside risk. I mean, just look at what happened in 2001 and 2. But remember, 2008, bonds got trounced just like everything else other than government bonds. Government bonds are the only thing that did anything in 2008. So in my opinion, having some bonds, if you're worried about stock volatility, makes sense, but you're not getting any growth in bonds. I just got to tell people all the time, they think they're getting 5 or 6%. You're not getting it. And they'll say, "Well, last year I got 9%. I'm just telling you, it's a fleeting return. You might have got 9% bonds. You just pulled your returns forward because they have to go back. I mean, the bonds, it's the most easy mathematical concept ever. You start at 100, it matures at 100. If you get, that's it. If it pays a 3% coupon in the interim, and somehow you're able to get a 9% rate of return, all that tells you is that's a short-term indication that the interest rates went down. Well, it doesn't matter. You're going to give that gain back because the price will always go back. It's like a rubber band. It snaps back, man. It's just no way around it. I can't tell how many people argue this. Like, I got 9%. You're saying don't have bonds. I said, well, I never said don't have bonds. I don't have them. I don't like them. By and large, I don't think people should. I think they should have VTI in cash or Ginnie Mae. That's it. But, I do advocate Wellesley and Wellington. I wrote a book on Wellington. Right here. Retire with the Wellington Fund. I wrote that book. I'm going to write one on Wellesley next. But, let's not pretend the bond's going to give any rates of return. They're just not. All right. Cool, man. All right, cool. I guess I'm gonna get out of here. My wife has got some 2000, 2008 and same with if you look at the 1930s, bonds did great. I mean, that's just all there is to it. The stocks did poorly, deflation was here, bonds did fantastic. So bonds are a hedge. I mean, there's no other way around that. Bonds are downside protection. Yep. Fracking deals for new permits. Trump is so he's not banning old permits. I mean, that's fantastic. Trumpster, dude. Trumpster. Yeah, they're shutting down the Keystone Pipeline. That just means they're going to deliver the hydrocarbons via train, so Warren Buffett can get rich. The whole thing is crazy, man. Discord is a collaboration tool like Slack or MS Teams. I did not know. It's popular with online gamers, but generally useful, not just gamers. Huh. Interesting. All right, my friends, I'm going to get out of here. Medicare only pays for a certain amount of days, though, for skilled nursing, just FYI. I mean, once, was it like 100 days? I can't remember the term, but once, and that's the elimination period for long-term care is basically when Medicare stops, I think it's 100 days. I have it on my head. But after Medicare doesn't pay, you're on your own. So skilled care, that's where long-term insurance kicks in. So please understand, folks, Medicare is absolutely not for long-term care. It says it on the freaking statement. They'll pay you for a few days. That's a fact. A few months. I will not question, but it's not for long-term care. You always got to look at long-term care as curing versus caring. All right, so Medicare wants to cure you. They want to cure you. My man Pete Molnar from New York taught me that. I used to do seminars with him. The best guy ever in seminars I've ever seen. My man Pete Molnar. I'm sure he's still around. Molnar. Freaking love old Pete. We went to go see CCR. I had a client of mine, Rich from Louisiana, Pete from New York, and his client of mine from Buffalo. Went to go see CCR in Niagara Falls one summer night, and I was I don't drink, so I was the sober guy. Seeing these crusty old men get drunk as skunks from the monks was oh my goodness. My man Pete was just drunk as a skunk, as funny as it could be, but he's a good guy. Anyway, he said, always remember, caring versus curing. All right, so long-term care is for caring. We're going to care for you because we don't expect you to be cured. Medicare, health insurance, is for curing. We want you to get better. And if you think about it like that, it kind of makes sense. Like, got it. Medicare does not want to care for you. They want to cure you. Only long-term care wants to care for you, if that makes sense. Anyway, all right, my friends, we'll see you on the the other side. Appreciate y'all being here, and again, thanks again. And we'll bring less energy next time. Again, I was tired. I thought this would be a low energy show, so it's funny I had more energy. All right, see you guys.